Welcome into the Jordy Culotta Show. Wave your hand out there, baby!
Shout out to the show.
She puts the pinky into the nostril. Man, look at that.
Healthy competition, there's nothing like it.
Y'all grow up. The line's wrapped around the stadium. Different strengths. I just lost a tooth.
It's going to be fun.
You know, we might have a story.
I love what you're doing.
Ogeron wants to take us fishing this afternoon.
Sharif, you play for the bad boys of the SEC, man. We don't apologize to anybody.
A lot of people are saying you're going to be wearing number 7.
I don't really know. I want to.
He look crazy, Bill. Good feet on the old man.
This is some back.
We'll be right back with the Jordy Culotta Show. All right, welcome into a Thursday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven, powered, as always, built by RMB Builders, our friends over at RMB, Rhett Bourgeois and the crew. You can find them online at rmb-builders.com or simply just search them on Instagram, RMB Builders, as Rhett and the crew. They can do it all for you. They can build a house for you. They can custom design a house for you. They can reconstruct the house that you're living in right now. They can add on to it, all of it. Get in touch with Rhett, rmb-builders.com. You can also get in touch with them on Instagram at RMB Builders. Our phone line is brought to you by our friends over at Southern Regional Medical Center. Remember Southern Regional Medical Center, same doctors, same real solutions with Jason Ramazan and Charlie Harvey, as you can get in touch with them over at Southern Regional Medical Center. We've got a text into Josh Newberg, who is covering the Duncanville announcement today with Caden Simmons and Caden Durham and Colin Simmons.
Keeps putting them together.
Well,
That's that 10-star you want so badly.
People are starting to backtrack on my man Simmons. As, my plea for Simmons yesterday, my guarantee for Simmons yesterday.
Hey, you played the long game. You got 4 months.
I didn't tell you. I didn't guarantee today.
December's a long way away, Coach.
Did I? But I know that December is all the date that we'll be looking for. Look, huge day for recruiting, if nothing else, for a lot of schools and for a lot of services, as LSU, Texas A&M, Oklahoma. A lot of schools going to be paying attention to some of the decisions that are going to be made on one high school campus. 2 o'clock Central this afternoon, the 5-star defensive end Colin Simmons will make his pledge. Caden Durham will be making his pledge as well at that same announcement. So you're talking about 2 of the highest rated players in the state of Texas. Simmons is number 1. Durham right now is a top 5 player in the state and a standout track athlete as well. LSU has been in the mix on both of these guys the entire time, really from start to finish. They have been very high on LSU's board, and Colin Simmons is as high of a rated player as LSU has gone after. When you talk about his status, where he is in the recruiting rankings, what type of player he is. Simmons is a guy that, look, when you look at him, I know we played his highlights last week. He is as much of a guarantee of a prospect as you will find in recruiting. So, look, he's the state's biggest prospect, and the University of Texas is trying to find their way back into the discussion of being relevant within college football. And to do that, you cannot miss on players like this. They have gone to just about every length of the earth to make this happen. And I think over the last 48 hours has made a huge push on Simmons to try and put a lot of pressure on what he decides coming up at 2 o'clock today.
McConaughey.
So, what's that?
That McConaughey money.
I think they're rolling it all out. But also from a standpoint of LSU, like we said, LSU has done a tremendous job of recruiting Simmons, and this is definitely an LSU-Texas battle. And whoever wins today, whoever gets the announcement today, like both sides have said, that's really when it just starts, right? I mean, when you talk about the commitment and what happens after the commitment, the recruiting will pick up from just an intensity standpoint, heavily. So huge day in recruiting. We're trying to get a little insight on it. Sammy Speegs is jumping on a plane. He's heading over there. He's flying during the show. Poor Billy, man. Billy has tracked this story better than anybody. Talking about Billy Embody over at On 3. Embody was on top of the Duncanville story from the start of this, and actually planned a vacation, a long time out during this time of the year to try and kind of get rejuvenated right before football season, expecting no big recruiting news would ever fall at this time. And as Billy boarded a plane, I believe this morning, to take off for vacation, it just happens to be on the same day that Duncanville standouts, Caden Durham and Colin Simmons, are going to announce. So Billy's wife, I'm sure, is trying to take the cell phone away from him because he's going to be looking at it all afternoon and all day on their first day of vacation. But he will not be a part of it, and he's got no access this morning to him. And then Shay's our Friday regular. We'll just get the recap from Shay tomorrow when he comes through here on his regularly scheduled visit with us weekly. So we're trying to link up with Newberg, Josh Newberg, who's covering it over in Duncanville. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here on announcement day. How we feeling?
Well, I'm thinking poor Billy's wife's going to go through that bill and go, "What's this 1099 charge from American Airlines?" He's got that free. He's paying for that premium Wi-Fi on the plane, no doubt. So, I mean, obviously you made your plea for Colin Simmons, but the more you look into it, the more it feels like Texas threw everything and more. You just can't lose the best player in the state.
Yeah.
Caden Durham's a blow, and it feels like it's pretty much. It feels, if you're LSU, you feel very confident that you're getting him, but in the other vein, it feels like it's going to be, obviously everything trending before this was Colin Simmons, Caden Durham committing on the same day, same school. Maybe they're taking their talents together to LSU was the perfect pie in the sky idea, right? But now it feels very much that Frank Wilson set his sights on Caden Durham. You usually can't slither out of that vice grip that he can get on a running back. So I feel confident in that pick. Going on the Colin Simmons ends, it feels like Texas saw all of the smoke to LSU. Doesn't feel like Miami's in this at all.
Yeah.
Right? And I would be shocked if he goes there. Or commits there. After I feel like LSU put on the full court press, you see what was going on social media. He puts the video out that was basically narrated by Shea Dixon, and it felt very LSU heavy. And I think that was kind of the impetus for Texas to get back in the game. You start messing around with that Texas money, and like, look, we're Texas football. We don't lose these kind of recruits. If they're going to be serious about Texas being back, this is one of the guys that they have to get. And it feels like they threw the whatever bag or collective, whatever they have, they pretty much made it impossible to say no. But with that said, this will, I trust Shay's word, this will go down to signing day. You just don't stop recruiting because he signed.
No, without question.
Or because he committed.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's true. I mean, as far as the intensity of the recruiting, it really picks up after commitments, especially when you're either school, right, where you feel like you're so close to it. Right, both LSU and Texas, I'd imagine they've gotten word on who's going to get him today. Whenever they, when the time before that, I'd imagine that they both felt like they were getting him. Like I told the story, earlier this week. I talked to an LSU side, then I talked to somebody on the Texas staff. They both said the same thing. They both said that with confidence they were getting him.
And is there a chance you said yes to both? I mean, I've heard of recruits doing that before, where he's kind of.
I don't know that personally on Simmons, But, I mean, I'd imagine that it's very tough for an 18-year-old to have so much love thrown at you, so many people tell you that they want you, and not tell at least one person on both sides yes.
Yeah, it's very open-ended.
This
in
is
relationship.
very awesome. Yeah, I mean, I'm coming here.
Yeah.
But it just, I think that, I mean, for Colin Simmons, the way that I relate it to Texas right now is Leonard Fournette.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he is the Leonard Fournette of Texas, and he comes at a time that was very similar for LSU football, right? Where, I mean, LSU was losing the battle to Alabama. Like, you could not come up for air on them. They were just kind of like suffocating you on the field. And some of the things that you had to do was you had to win the recruiting wars. And Alabama had really set their sights in on Leonard, right? I mean, like with Burton Burns and Nick Saban and Lane Kiffin and the offensive staff had really said, like, let's go get him. And they knew if they got him,
They went for the jugular.
out of Louisiana, exactly. They were gonna cut the main vein. You know what I mean? Like that was gonna be a death blow. And this to Texas is very relatable in the sense of they're trying to get back to the table. They're trying to get into the conversation. They're trying to find their relevance and really stick. And if you're gonna do that, you can't lose state recruits like this. Texas is a big area. They've got a ton of prospects. They're not going to get everybody, but you got to get this one if you're Sarkisian. If you're the University of Texas and you're this close, and if it's coming down to whatever it's coming down to, whether it's write the check or give him the number or whatever it is, that's probably where this sits. In my opinion.
And
right?
if it goes the other way, if he's an LSU, if he does pull the LSU hat, does that change anything of how you feel? Because I'm ambivalent either way. If he picks Texas, I still feel like LSU has a dog in the fight. If he picks LSU, I feel like Texas still has a dog in the fight. And if you're Colin Simmons, you could almost use this as a leverage play against Texas to pick LSU, and it's like, all right, what else do you have? Now you could drag them out like through the glass to see how bad do you want me? And if that turns Texas off, it's like, all right, I get to go to the school I actually wanted to go to, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could use this as a leverage play.
Wolfgang Freud. So answer the question. Yesterday was a lock. Now playing the other side of the fence? No, man, I'm not. I'm still sticking with that he's coming to LSU. I got to after yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But over the last 48 hours, over the last 24 hours, Texas has really put a lot of pressure on Simmons. And I'm just giving you the update. Do I think he ultimately decides to go to LSU? Yeah. I mean, I said it yesterday. I'm sticking with it. I'm just giving you the updates on where it stands going into deciding day. He'll make the decision at 2:00 this afternoon. So we will all be paying attention on where he goes. Also in that announcement is going to be Caden Durham. Caden Durham, who revealed his top 3 teams as of a couple of weeks ago, and it stood Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and LSU. For a lot of the recruitment of Caden Durham, who is a 4-star running back out of the state of Texas and a superstar when it comes to track and field. Oklahoma was considered to be the lead for Durham for a lot of this recruitment. His mom was a standout All-American sprinter for the Sooners during her time in college, so they had the legacy play. But in the state of Louisiana during this cycle, there's not really a running back that jumps off from a high-end recruitable standpoint in the state. Last year, you got the top 2 in Caleb Jackson and Trey Holly. Both guys have made impacts early on in being on campus. Holly went through spring practice and gave himself a leg up in the early competition of the youngsters, getting an idea of the playbook and really kind of getting an understanding of college life. And then, Caleb Jackson shows up as a freshman in June and is a physical freak that, has a lot to learn about football. But, once the light bulb goes off, who knows what you got? You may have a Heisman contender on your hands. But this season, this year, this recruiting cycle in the state of Louisiana, it's not as plentiful as it is, say next year, where you've got Harlem Berry and is it James Simon? James Simon from North Louisiana.
Yeah, James
who's a very high-end running back in his own right. I mean, you're talking about two really solid players, prospects. I mean, Harlan Berry's the number one running back in the country next year out of New Orleans. And Simon, whose dad played over a decade in the league, is out of North Louisiana, who is a standout running back as well. So, I mean, you've got two in the cycle next year that Wilson has zeroed in on, right, from a while ago. I mean, I think he's Harlan Berry's godfather. And, he's going to get at least one of those guys next year. And so he set his sights on Caden Durham during this cycle. There was nobody in the state that really was grabbing his attention. And he took one of the standouts that was relatively close geographically and said, I'm going to get him. And he has done an incredible job of really flipping the entire recruitment. I mean, I think right at the beginning of Durham's recruitment, it was kind of considered like almost offensive for any other team to recruit him. He was such an Oklahoma lean. I mean, there was such a well understanding, like this kid's going to Oklahoma, that nobody really tried to jump in on the recruitment early on, or if they did, they weren't too serious about it. They all expected it to be an Oklahoma lean and an Oklahoma play. But once Wilson said he was going all in for LSU, LSU really made up ground very fast and then overtook the feeling that they were the lead dog in the recruitment, and it's been like that for a couple of months. I mean, you talk to the LSU side, they have been very confident throughout the last couple of weeks and months of this, coming down to the end here, and really here on decision day feel like they've got a leg up and going to get the commitment from one of the top running backs in the country in Caden Durham. So, I mean, you're talking about an explosive player who has the capability to hit a home run at any time during a game. I mean, he can change the scoreboard from anywhere on the field. He can change the scoreboard at any time just because of his world-class speed. If you have not seen him run, I mean, he is as fluid and as just good-looking of a player when you just look at his style. I mean, he runs away from everyone. Then you turn on some of the film of what he's doing on the track and field arena, and he's elite. He is an elite athlete that is, when you look at it and see that he is a track athlete and a football player, I think he's kind of one of those perfect hybrids where he's not all track and he's not all football. I mean, he's just one of these finely tuned athletes that once you get to the next level and you give him the next development of coaching, it'll be interesting to see how he shakes out and what this running back room will look like potentially in a couple of seasons. I mean, just the amount of talent that Wilson has brought in immediately. Not
He's
surprising.
got 8 in the building right now.
I know.
But we've talked about this a little bit before when you have 8 right now, but when you go down the list of who's going to be here next year, you almost have to replenish the class, and you're only bringing in 1. And so you can see that they have all kind of sights set to the next year with Harlan Berry and, was it Simon as the other running back? So you bring in 2 the next class probably, and then you have a stable of running backs with Caden Durham, Harlan Berry, and Simon, and then you have the two from this year with Trey Holly and Caleb Jackson, who feels like he's going to be the bell cow of the backs. If you hit me with the Caleb Jackson, Caden Durham combination, I feel very confident in that like Thunder Night, little Reggie Bush, Lindell White, but Lindell White 2.0, where it feels like Caleb Jackson could also hit a home run, but just those bruising backs where it's, when's it end?
Fourth quarterback.
Yeah, fourth quarterback, and then you have Caden Durham that can pop you for 90 at any time in the game. And if you're Garrett Nussmeier, to have that in the backfield, that's another reason why it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
The elite level that LSU is recruiting, why would you not want to play in the offense? So we talked about how Alabama has searched high and low for a quarterback in the transfer portal, wasn't able to pull Nussmeier away from LSU, goes back to the well with Tommy Reese at Notre Dame and pulls Buckner out of South Bend, and they're not even sure if he's going to be the starter. They're still having questions about who their guy is going to be, But if you're LSU, you feel very confident, at least in the next year. And then the 5-star plus for the 2025 class.
Colin Berry?
No, the quarterback.
Oh, Bryce Underwood.
Yeah, visited LSU again. And he's between. It feels like it's between LSU and Michigan. So if you have a Colin Hurley, another 5-star, it just feels like they just keep adding on to LSU talent. And this isn't even from the Louisiana pool. This is going national to get quarterbacks, which is usually what you have to do, aside from the last year where you had Arch Manning, Eli Holstein, that bunch where you could have pulled from Louisiana. Ricky Collins, and you get him. Yeah. So you'll have him in the building as well.
Remember over at Ochsner Health and our friends over at the Andrews Sports Medicine Institute, whether you're a pediatric patient, a high school athlete, or you're a member of the New Orleans Saints and Pelicans, you're a weekend warrior or a senior citizen, they all turn to Ochsner Andrews Sports Medicine Institute for care. Been serving residents of Louisiana, Mississippi, and beyond, and they're ready to help you move past whatever sports injury you face today. Log online to ochsner.org/sportsmed to learn more. ochsner.org/sportsmedicine to learn more. In fact, we met with the Ochsner team yesterday. Dr. Jeremy Burnham and his staff really fired up to be working with them again. Of course, Dr. Burnham, a classmate of mine, we graduated high school. Great to see all the success that he's having and what he's doing over at Ochsner, including with the sports medicine. And this fall, remember this fall with Friday nights coming up here and a lot of Friday night injuries, their injury clinics will be open Saturday mornings starting at the end of August. That'll be August 26th through November 4th, and that'll be 8 a.m. until 10:30 p.m. 10:30 a.m., 8 to 10:30 on Saturday mornings, located at the Grove, right over there off of Blue Bonnet, behind the mall, behind Dick's Sporting Goods. You can get over to the Grove facility and Ochsner over there to their sports medicine and their sports program, where their injury clinic on Saturday mornings, where you can go in there after Friday nights and let their team of talented doctors take a look at whatever injury that you may be dealing with. They also have a 24-hour sports injury scheduling phone number in the Baton Rouge area that they want us to tell you about. So if you have an athlete, if you have a young athlete and you're going into the season, I know my son's starting football practice yesterday at his school, so it's that time of the year where people are gearing up for athletics, and you want to keep a speed dial of a 24-hour number of a injury clinic and a sports medicine institution that can help you out here in Baton Rouge. Take down this number. It's 225-761-5895. 225-761-5895, and that's our friends over at Ochsner Andrews Sports Medicine Institute. That is a 24-hour sports injury scheduling number that they can help you out here in the Baton Rouge area from our friends over at Ochsner. We will be talking to Dr. Jeremy Burnham actually tomorrow on the show and tell you about some of the things that are coming up for the season, how you as a parent or you as a weekend warrior, whether you're still active, can have the peace of mind to know where people can get you back into action are and how to get in touch with them and what their specialties are. And we'll be talking to Dr. Burnham tomorrow morning here on our show, on the Jordy Culotta Show. So check them out as they are online at ochsner.org/sportsmedicine to keep up with it. So huge day as far as recruiting goes, and everybody will be paying attention to Duncanville High School as Duncanville, of course, one of the most talented teams in the country, and they will be making their announcement today. As Lloyd alluded a little bit to, Bryce Underwood, who is the quarterback, is in the news as well right now over at the Bengal Tiger, and our friends over at On3 and Billy Embody had a piece about the Belleville quarterback of 2025, who is coming off of a summer that included visits to LSU and Michigan. Told On3 and Billy that he had a great time down in Baton Rouge. He really enjoyed the atmosphere and the food. He likes Cajun food, he said now. It's amazing. Actually, visiting Baton Rouge helped me even like it more. He said that he really made and had a good relationship with Joe Sloan. Says that him and Sloan talk every single week. He said he's one of the coaches that I have a great relationship with. He's a great coach and knows what he's talking about. He can prepare me for the NFL, is what Underwood told Bengal Tiger. He said that he is looking forward to getting down to LSU and taking in a game. He said, just a game. I need to watch a game. I haven't seen a game there yet. I'm actually preparing for college in the NFL and preparing for what's ahead past high school. That's my main goal, as he was talking to On3. And so LSU, as they await word on two of the top players in the state of Texas today, with Colin Simmons and Caden Durham, set to make their announcement this afternoon, they have also set themselves up and put themselves into a great spot with next year's overall number one player in the cycle and number one quarterback in the country in Bryce Underwood. He's out of Michigan. So you're starting to see not only the dominance of in-state recruiting, which LSU has flexed the past two cycles, and including this cycle where they've got a chance to potentially get all 10 of the top 10 players in the state of Louisiana. Just Wardell Mack and Dominic McKinley, top two players in the state, are the only ones that remain uncommitted at this point. And LSU seems like they are still recruiting Wardell Mack very hard, even though it seems like he's leaning out of state. And Dominic McKinley, there's not been a lot of updates, word around his recruitment. All we know is that LSU's in the mix. But Bryce Underwood, who is out of Michigan, has been down to Baton Rouge, has seen the campus, talks to Joe Sloan every week, and the more you talk to people around the facility, around the program, that they really feel like they're in a comfortable spot with him. They really feel like they're in a really good position going into his junior season, right? I mean, you're talking about the top prospect in next year's cycle. So, I mean, early on in the process, LSU sits in a very comfortable, very easy place to continue to recruit him at a very high level. And when you talk about the potential of landing Underwood, which it seems like they will have as good of a chance as anyone. I mean, it feels like it's already just a two-horse race between his home state of Michigan, Jim Harbaugh, and LSU. Brian Kelly, Joe Sloan, and the crew have done a great job of keeping them relevant, and now puts them into a position where Underwood's curious about what a game looks like. I mean, think about it. You'll potentially be able to get him down here for a game this year, which, Florida, Auburn, two biggest?
Yes.
And then next year, you look at the schedule where you've got UCLA, Oklahoma, Alabama, all coming in.
Can they take recruits to Vegas?
They can.
Have fun.
And
You?
And you can take them to Las Vegas. And I mean, if there's anybody on the West Coast that they're interested in, I'd imagine Underwood would be one of those types of players. Not that he's on the West Coast, just a national brand, national recruit that you would want him to see that. You would try to get him to that type of atmosphere. But, I mean, the sales pitch that LSU will be able to show off next year in Tiger Stadium alone will have three monumental atmospheres that I would say right now will be as good as any. UCLA, Oklahoma, and Alabama in 2024 will be on springs. I mean, UCLA and Oklahoma just because you've never seen it, and Alabama just because it's Alabama. And if Bryce Underwood wants to see Tiger Stadium, come all down. I mean, they're as good as a sales pitch as you can. I mean, like, think about if you were a recruit on the sideline last November 5th. You going to say no?
That's what I'm thinking. Isn't LSU and Death Valley at night almost a bigger recruiting pitch than bringing them to Vegas?
Yeah, no doubt. I agree with that.
I was
Yeah.
just saying Vegas, like, can they bring them to
Yeah.
Vegas just to kind of put them like, okay, look, this is
what LSU does on the. This is
Right.
what you could be a part of. This isn't even a home game. This is a neutral site game, and we're in the Death Star.
Yeah, and we do this every 2 years.
Mm-hmm. We need to go to Jerry's World. We do that. You want to go to Vegas? We do that. You want to go to the Superdome? We do that.
Want to go to LA? We do that too.
We do that too. We go to Texas. We do that occasionally.
We go to Miami too.
We go to Miami. Yeah, I mean LSU. That has to be still a recruiting pitch, right? The fact that they play non-conference games at these ornate NFL stadiums to where you're a brand. Like a lot of schools are shying away from that. LSU has put 10 toes on it. Like when you look through their schedule throughout the next 3 or 4 years, they still have those games scheduled to where they're playing marquee matchups the first weekend of the year. Not week 0, week 1.
I've always gotten the financial benefit of that, right? Like I still believe that the recruiting benefit of it is better to show off your home stadium. I think if you're showing off for recruits, it's that, somebody like, give me an example, Jamal Adams playing in Texas, playing in Dallas may have been a big deal. Somebody for like Kevin Mentor playing, Kevin Mentor playing in Atlanta from, being that he was from Georgia may have been a big deal. But as far as like the recruiting aspect of the neutral site game, I never saw the big advantage for it. The big advantage of neutral sites games is the financial benefit.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you show up, you get a check. I mean, it's like you played a home game, but you don't have to clean up the stadium after you leave.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's all the perks of a home game without any
With none of the
responsibilities
headaches.
of a home game. You don't have to staff it. You don't have to you don't have to do
Concession
anything.
it.
Yeah, right. You don't have to do anything for it except just mailbox money. So, I mean, I understand why administrators were so attracted to it, but now with the amount of money that is in the game and the amount of money that's behind these television networks putting into conferences, I mean, these decisions don't become as monumental as they once were, right? I mean, even for schools like LSU and Alabama, there was such a financial benefit to it a decade ago that you were like, we can't turn it down. Right now, you're making so much money that, I mean, that offer has to be almost embarrassing,
right?
Like,
because
we gotta go.
Yeah,
I mean,
because the SEC is essentially it's printing money at this point,
right?
But when's the last time you saw USC do? I mean, not USC, Alabama. USC was the last time you saw them pretty much step out and play an out of conference game in week 1, and that's when, or they Alabama, Florida State. Also, is that who I'm thinking? They played Florida State whenever they had
yes.
DeAndre Francois, and he gets hurt in the third quarter, and then the Alabama runs away with it.
Yeah.
But that was almost a game there for a second, and then Alabama was like, all right, we don't have to do this anymore. There's no point in us stepping out, because it's almost a Belichickian way of Alabama where they're not who they are in week 1 as the same team they are in week 7. It's a slow burn for Bama. LSU has to come out the gate hot, and then they kind of get a little bit of a rest, and then they go into the season. This year's schedule is a little bit different. Obviously, you have Florida State, Grambling, but then the SEC schedule kicks off early for LSU this year.
Yeah.
Where it feels like you have to kind of stay on top. And I think LSU has the equipment to do it. It has the players, but it's a different type of schedule to where it's not the same thing that the routine is a little bit different, where you have to ratchet up a little bit earlier than you're used to.
Yeah.
And
No.
I mean, you talk about like games that's like coming up for LSU. 2025, they start the season at Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you want to talk about like neutral site or playing home and home, I mean, sit right there.
2025 LSU's at Clemson to open the
At
season.
Clemson to open the
on
season.
campus. On campus.
On campus, August 30th.
Would you go there?
For that game, I would.
I think so.
I would probably go to.
I mean, I heard Clemson's like a cartoon.
Yeah.
Like it's a little
Feels like
fantasy
Mickey-
land.
yeah, like a
it's
Mickey
little-
Mouse.
little bubble.
Nothing
so,
bad
I
ever
mean,
happened.
I'd love to watch LSU just like,
Run
Right,
off the
just
field.
like
Take the rock.
not only just like what they would like showing up like on a Thursday,
Just like-
and Clemson just like bringing hell with them.
Here's
You
your
know what I mean? Just
you
like-
walk in. Here's your $2 bill. Here's your
Yeah,
fuck
yeah,
your $2
yeah.
bill.
I mean, I saw them like you could see them like in their eyes in the national championship game. They were like these people.
Wide-eyed.
These people are nuts.
This is not what we
I
signed
mean,
up
this
for.
is an LSU game in the dome with the best team that they've ever had. You know what I mean?
The,
Like-
the last thing you want to run into is a
like,
confident LSU
right.
fan.
I mean, that's everybody's worst nightmare.
feet up, kicking like
Yeah, right.
it's actually LSU fans when LSU fans feel like they're going to win, we're a little bit nicer.
Oh, yeah.
It's when we're on edge, when we're nervous, is when it's like, hey buddy, don't even come around here
Like
anymore.
the guy
You
cheering
get
next
one
to me
plate
when
of
LSU
gym
was
blood.
down 10. I was like,
We're good.
Yeah, have fun.
okay, buddy.
Yeah.
Enjoy yourself.
I'm actually glad y'all could do this to us. We hadn't played from behind yet.
Yeah,
Right.
I thought it'd be
I appreciate this. This is going to make the story even better.
Kirk Herbstreit. First time LSU's trailed all year. Like,
Three
yeah.
plays later, Burrow to
Bang.
chase.
Quick. That
A
was
lot
quick.
more where that came from.
Yeah. Oh, y'all gonna win single high all game?
Yeah.
That's fun.
One-on-one? It's cool.
Yeah.
We got it.
AJ Terrell's gonna have a night.
Still getting beat.
But yes, I would love to see LSU fans take over the town of Clemson. Just shock the locals.
This is the
You
real
know what I
Death
mean?
Valley.
Yeah, it's about to be.
Yeah, right.
Dabo down the hill.
Oh, God.
Ugh.
They're going to boo him so
Oh
bad
my
right
God.
now.
Dabu.
Dabu. Yabba dabba do. Who's their quarterback this year? Because it feels like they're super confident.
Is it Klubnik?
Yeah.
Corey
Cade?
Cade, yeah,
Klubnik.
Corey Klubnik's a pitcher.
Cade Klubnik.
Cade
He ran-
Klubnik.
he-
I'm
he
just wondering if he's going to be there for
He ran old boy off. What's
DJ.
Yeah.
Young Lily.
He went to UCLA, and he
Is that
got
real?
drafted.
He went to Oregon State.
Oregon State, yes. He doesn't have
what
a home.
bad choice.
And dude, talk about Omar Speights
Golly.
getting out at the right time.
Only 4 schools you could have you shouldn't have chosen in the Pac-12.
Well, hey, Pac-4.
And
Pac-4.
DJ got one of them.
Oof.
That's brutal. All right, LSU fall camp back in action today. Remember, we're brought to you by Katie's Restaurant down in New Orleans. Get in touch with Katie's online at katiesinmidcity.com. katiesinmidcity.com. Been around since 1984. If you're looking for a place to watch the games, Katie's just added 5 new television and new Sunday hours. They're open from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. That's pregame and postgame if you're heading to the Dome for Sunday games in New Orleans, or if you're just looking for a place to post up and watch games, think of Katie's now. Katie's in Mid-City, located on Iberville Street. They are there with a fantastic menu, fantastic service, and as we said, embracing football season on Sundays down there in an NFL market. If you're looking for a place to watch NFL, got cold beer, great food, good people, fantastic service, check out Katie's. Katie's on Iberville Street, been around since '84, and a great website, katiesinmidcity.com. They also have a sister restaurant, Francesca's, which is located down in Lakeview. Stop in and see them and pick up a sandwich today over in the deli at Francesca's. All the information of both spots online at katiesinmidcity.com. katiesinmidcity.com. Been around since '84, one of our favorites. Go check out our friend Scott Craig and the crew, and tell them you heard it right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. All right, a couple of takeaways here from fall camp as we're just about approaching the middle of August, right? You're on August 10th here. Next week you'll be to the middle of the month, and LSU's been on the field for about 7 practices now, going into the start of school next week, which is dreadful for the traffic. But a couple of takeaways here early on in camp, and Stewie, help me out here because you've seen more practice time than anybody. But one thing has got to be the amount of freshmen on this team that names keep popping up. One thing I thought about this team in year 2 about Brian Kelly was that he's got experience, he's got leadership, he's got veterans, and a lot of those guys would be the storylines, at least early on in camp. But every time I either talk to someone, read a practice report, watch a video of a report, there are freshman names that are continuing to pop. And it's not just Lance Hurd and Taviano and, all these freshmen, Jaylen Brown and these wide receivers. I mean, it's guys like Mac Markway. And, I mean, what has been your impression of this freshman class?
I put it in the notes the first day of camp. I said this freshman class is elite. And I just said they were elite because, I mean, I haven't seen many freshman classes come in and actually, challenge veteran players. They had Mac Markway going against Major Burns in one-on-ones. It was real competition for every one of the freshmen, and they all – I'm not going to say they all won their reps, but they all held their own.
Competitive reps.
It wasn't like, oh, you could tell he was a freshman. It was just good on good. take the year out of it, it's just good on good every time each freshman went. So I just think it's an elite class from top to bottom. You got guys like Lance Hurd and Shelton Sampson and all those guys, but then you got the Kai Prions of the world, the Mac Markways of the world, the Jackson McGohans, Kamarian Pimpton, like those guys that people really might not know too much about, but they'll probably be assets to the team during the season at some point.
Yeah, if you took like the classification off them, you wouldn't know.
No.
Yeah. Which is wild. Like if you saw Kyle Parker, you wouldn't think that's a freshman.
Another freshman that just looks
the part.
I guess going into the season, everybody thought Lance Hurd and Deshaun Womack were the two that I think, and probably in reverse order. Yeah. Deshaun Womack, Lance Hurd. And then some names started to kind of come up, Pimpton, Taviano. But the more you get to just listening to people, it's names like Kyle Parker and Whit Weeks and guys like Jackson McGowan, who you talk about, and Ashton Stamps name keeps coming up. Stamps is a guy that I never expected to hear his name last season when he committed. He was, first off, he just didn't look like he was SEC and college football ready. And compliments to him because he bought in the offseason. It's noticeable that he has put weight on since high school. Still looks like a rookie.
Yeah, but
still looks like a freshman. But he looked like a underclassman in high school last year.
He looked like a freshman in high school last year.
Right. Now he looks at least like a freshman in college, but a high skill set. From another one of these freshmen in the class that really early on, just shined. Surprisingly.
Great return on investment.
Absolutely. I would go even a step further and say last year's recruiting class. Yeah. These second-year guys that you look around and you see that are really becoming the face of
the team,
of the program, right? Will Campbell, Emory Jones, Harold Perkins. Guys that, every time you talk about LSU, you got to mention their name. Mason Taylor. Is a guy that did you see the interview with him in Bussin' with the Boys? They sat down with Mason Taylor for 20 minutes. That was a while ago.
Yeah, like during the summer, right?
In the middle of the summer. You could hear his maturity of where he was just as a player. Obviously those guys are elite when you talk about their sophomore status, but even guys coming up in this class, coming up this year. I expect Quincy Wiggins, to have a big impact on this class.
Forgetting about Quincy.
What about Bo Bordelon's name keeps coming up, right?
Where's he working? Center? Or is he working at guard?
I've seen him work at guard mostly.
I don't know what
for some reason, when you said center, it popped into my head that he's been working in at center. But that's when you talk about LSU being too deep. That's one of the things that the offensive line has been able to do. That's why it's held in such high regard, because Coach Davis has gotten them to a point where you can almost NASCAR that thing and shuffle them in, and you don't even know who's who. That was probably the biggest coup for Ed Orgeron, was he was able to roll out defensive lineman after defensive lineman and never stopped. If LSU was able to do that on both sides of the ball, where injuries are obviously going to happen on the offensive line, you see it year in and year out, where you can have a guy like Lance Hurd come in for Emory Jones or bump him in and you don't really miss a beat, because how much of a detriment was it to LSU in 2020, 2021, when the offensive line was, you literally have 6 guys. If one goes down, you don't know who the next man up is. And for LSU to be able to be, 8, 9 deep on offensive line and defensive line, that's the mark of a good team. As unsexy as it is, it's the sexiest thing you can have.
No, it is.
Nobody thinks about it. But if you have a good offensive line, defensive line, that's where football's won.
Yeah.
And if you want a little kicker on the side, don't think LSU doesn't have playmakers either.
Oh, man.
That's where it comes down to. The real conversation is, this team is going to go as far as Jaden Daniels can carry you, because he has all of the assets around him to be able to be this should be, if everything stays what it is right now and everybody's healthy, it's contingent on your quarterback. That's who wins and loses you games, when you have all the pieces around you to be able to be successful. It comes to, and even if he plays the same way he did last year, if he's careful with the football and he just peppers in 3 more throws that are down the field, that changes the entire dynamic of the offense. It doesn't have to be 4 verts every play. It doesn't have to be this run and gun style where it's, oh man, we have to look like Texas Tech. It's going to be methodical, run the ball. He's still going to keep some a little bit, but I think it's going to be more chunk plays than it is 80 yards down the field.
Yeah.
And I think people need to put that in their heads before they start thinking, oh, I heard he's throwing it farther down the field. It's not going to be go routes every play. I think he'll take shots, but it's not going to be markedly different than it was last year.
No, I don't think it will be either. I think it'll just be much more efficient.
Right.
Right.
It won't
It'll
look
be
like he's confused.
scrambling.
Right.
Right. Like, I mean, it's not like it's going to be moving so fast for him. It looked like it was coming at him in very fast waves, and for it to slow down, for him, I think that's what's happening. That's what it has happened for him, is the game has slowed down. He kind of knows what he's looking at. He knows where he is. He knows his surroundings. He knows what he's got around him. And, for LSU to have back-to-back classes where, we're talking about this freshman class that's impacting very early on here in fall camp, and the second-year guys that are, have made a really good jump from year 1 to year 2, have become the face of the program. So LSU sitting in a good spot. And then my final takeaway of just early on here in fall camp would be the quarterback play. Really. You've got guys and you've got players at all levels all around LSU that are young, that are returning for another year and growing. But the quarterback development and the quarterback room at LSU is in a place where, man, it's just I have rarely ever seen it, right? I think back to, early on when I was younger, Craig Nall, Rohan Davey, and Josh Booty was the best quarterback room I knew growing up. And then Jamarcus, Matt Flynn, and Ryan Perilou were on campus. That was an incredibly talented quarterback room. Then Burrow got here and really kind of, set the standard of what quarterbacking could be at LSU. And then since then, the recruiting wave of what has happened at LSU has just been the golden age of LSU quarterbacks, at least from a recruiting standpoint. Where they are right now, presently, as we have this segment, with Jaden Daniels, who's the top returning quarterback in the league, Garrett Nussmeier, who's the best backup quarterback in the league and possibly the country, and Ricky Collins, who's a 4-star talent that, by all accounts, his transition from high school to college has gone very smooth. Now, he's got no pressure to play. He's got time on his hands to learn system, language, lyrics, lingo, however you want to term it, but he's got time on his hand, which is that's an advantage. LSU has rarely had that when developing quarterbacks. They have consistently looked at a guy like Ricky Collins and said, save us. You have to play now. Or you have to know that you're a play away and you don't have the luxury of being able to, sit back, watch, and develop. And now LSU's on this cycle where you can even lose a guy and stay on track. In fact, I would say that would be the formula. That's probably how LSU is going to operate. They're probably going to lose a quarterback a year just because of how competitive the room is. And in college football, with the way that the rules are laid out with the transfer portal, it's tough to argue. Does it always make sense for them to leave? No. But are they going to leave more than they stay? Probably. And if you're in the discussion of losing guys, you would rather be losing guys than desperately searching for guys like LSU has been for a long time. Now it seems like LSU is the one that everybody's shopping for. There was a mad dash on Walker Howard, and when the transfer portal opened up after spring, Nussmeier was turning down 6-figure deals from SEC schools. So, I mean, it's the quarterback at LSU right now, and we just told you what the future looks like. They've got Colin Hurley committed, who's an Elite 11 quarterback and Florida's best signal caller, to next year Bryce Underwood, who's the number one player in the country, / number one quarterback in the country, has LSU in his top 2.
I mean, if LSU gets Harlem Berry, the number one running back in the country, and Underwood, the number one quarterback in the country, that would be, feels unrealistic almost. Especially a guy from, obviously we're projecting into the future. I feel very strongly about Colin Hurley and what he's going to be able to do at LSU, especially getting to watch a year under Nussmeier and kind of take it all in. Because, like you were saying, LSU is far from the days, which is an amazing thing to say, from you're one snap away from Anthony Jennings coming in against Arkansas with no snaps. Right? With 2 minutes left in the game, and you're looking around going, I don't even know who the backup is. And it's Anthony Jennings from Georgia, and you're wondering, what's he look like? He throws a bomb to Travin Durrell. You're like, oh, maybe he's the future. And then you see the LSU offense with him, but it's not his fault. And the same thing happened to Brandon Harris, where it's you never had a chance to even breathe.
Right.
Because you're always the next, you're one play away. You're the next man up with no reps, no understanding of the scheme. Now you've had Garrett Nussmeier that's been able to sit, watch, and play without the pressure of being the starting quarterback, even though he's chomping at the bit to be it. And now he's still willing to wait one more year to be able to be the signal caller at LSU, because he knows if he shows out next year, or if anything happens this year, I still feel confident in him rolling out in the game, and you're like, all right, we still have a quarterback. If you're Garrett Nussmeier going into next year, if you shine, you're still going to be a first-round pick. You're going to do everything that you've ever wanted is still right in front of you at LSU. There's no reason for you to go anywhere. LSU's never been able to make that promise, and now they are. And if you're Colin Hurley, you can say the same thing. And if Underwood wants to come here and play the Nussmeier game, which that's a pie in the sky idea, right? The number one quarterback in the country coming behind Colin Hurley and sitting for 2 years. It's going to be a competition. Whoever loses out is probably going to go. Right. So you got to get one more in the boat. That's been LSU's mark of success, is being able to get more than one guy, and that's what I think it would be Ricky Collins, where if he wants to stick around, he might be the LSU guy that is able to kind of fight the war of attrition around him, where everybody's kind of pulling his string to come to a different school, and he's like, no, I want to be at LSU. That's what makes LSU, is they're still able to sell the brand, which I don't think a lot of schools around the country are able to do at the same rate. And with as high as LSU is on a national scene, it's not just in Louisiana, it's everywhere. You have Colin Cowherd talking about you. You have Greg McElroy talking about you. LSU is back on the scene. It's here.
No, without question. I mean, LSU's got a huge seat at the table right now. And from a quarterbacking standpoint,
bullied its way to the table.
They have. Scott Woodward got him back to the table. I mean, that was what he was that was what he was tasked to do. That was what he was responsible for doing. He knew that to get LSU's athletic program back, you had to get football back in the discussion and at the table of relevancy, and LSU was back. Clint from the parish, don't crawfish, Jordy, on Colin Simmons. I ain't going anywhere, Colin. I'm not going anywhere, Clint. I'm staying true. Colin Simmons will be a Tiger. I'm confident, and I'm sticking to it. That's right, Colin Baton Rouge. All right, Daily, we're brought to you by our friends over at Go Roof. Remember, our friends over at Go Roof have been providing roof services to residential and commercial customers in Baton Rouge since 2005. Whether you need a roof installed or you need a repair or on an existing roof, you can rely on the locally owned and operated Go Roof to help you out today. Online, GEAUXroof.com, GEAUXroof.com. That's phone number is 225-927-8300. 927-8300 is the phone number. They can help you whether it's residential roofing, commercial roofing, roofing repairs. You get a 2-year free workmanship guarantee with all new roof installations from our friends over at Go Roof. They're online at GEAUXroof.com, GEAUXroof.com, and then it's a beautiful roof every single time that you deal with our friends over at Go Roof. Call them today, 927-8300. You get free quotes, free and quick roof inspections, over 15 years of roofing experience. They are a firmly established Louisiana business providing services at very competitive prices over at Go Roof. Check them out today. Residential, commercial, roofing repairs, online, GEAUXroof.com. GeauxRoof.com, GEAUX roof.com. Roofs up with our friends over at Go Roof. Every single time. It is a beautiful roof every single time over at Go Roof. We'll be back with Hour 2, Jordy Culotta Show, rolling on here, built by R&B Builders.
Got the shingles.
Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
We're all from different places and backgrounds. We've each experienced our own versions of life, but in the end, we're all on the same team. I'm part of that team, along with these players in purple and gold.
Kayshawn Buddha,
Malik Neighbors,
Miles Frazier,
Kyron Lacy,
Greg Brooks.
Whether on the field or in the courtroom, your team matters.
So join our team. Make a difference.
Bet. Let's get it done.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks.
And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Is it time to wash your house or business? Call the pros at Hydro Wash today. Get them out with their low-pressure, soft-washing cleaning approach. From commercial buildings, rooftops, and residentials, Hydro Wash is ready to get your place shining. Find them on Facebook or call Curtis at 225-933-7068. Take it from me, Hydro Wash came by and made my house look like new. What was best was the professionalism. They picked up everything, made the clean, and then put everything back to where it belonged. Get in touch with Curtis today. Call him at 225-933-7068 or find Hydro Wash on Facebook.
All right, buddy. Make it a good shot.
Oh, yeah.
Sticking the roof in.
For a hole in your roof, for a whole new roof, Go Roof. Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Hey, Greg, roof up? Roof's up. Roof's up. Roof's up.
Roof's up?
Roof's up.
Roof's up!
Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
All right, welcome back here. Jordy Culotta Show, as always, built by our friends over at RMB Builders. Remember, coming up in October, we are having the 4th annual Boot Crew Media fishing rodeo that we are a part of. We have partnered with Boot Crew Media. If you want to check that out, man, it's coming up. All of it online at bootcrewmedia.com/fishing rodeo. It's a grand prize of $2,500. We're partnered with Premier Bow Fishing Charters. You can launch from anywhere on Saturday, October 7th. We will be returning to Bow Fishing Charters Camp over in St. Bernard Parish on Hopedale Highway at 3 o'clock. We'll have our weigh-in and after party starting at 3:15. They are also, we have a section for kayak fisher, people that want to do some kayak fishing. We've got a 3-person team. We've got a 4-person team. We've got a big category for largest 3 redfish stringer. Prizes will be awarded for heaviest overall 3 fish between 16 and 27 inches. There will be a first, second, and third place prize awarded in each category. You can learn all of this online at bootcrewmedia.com. bootcrewmedia.com. You've got chances to sign up not only to enter to fish in the tournament, you've also got opportunities to sign up and sponsor the fishing rodeo if you're interested in that. This will be the day of the LSU Missouri game. We will have TVs, we'll have music, we'll have food, we'll have beer, we'll have all of it at the camp afterwards to celebrate. So get signed up. It'll be a great place to watch football. It'll be a great place to enjoy South Louisiana weather on the water, outdoors, and taking it all in. This is the 4th annual fishing rodeo presented by Boot Crew Media, partnered with us over here at the Jordy Culotta Show. And like we said, man, we are very, very excited about it coming up here in early October for an opportunity to get out, meet some people, meet the listeners, and have a good day, have fun, watching some football.
After?
He better, for as much shit as he talks.
I mean, he's got to cook you got to catch and cook what you eat, or whatever you catch, you got to cook, right? And that's the old fisherman's adage.
That's right. That's right.
Eat what you kill.
I don't know if I'll be doing any fishing that day.
You're trying to go gator hunting. You got eyes on a bigger prize.
That's right.
I don't even know if I want to do that.
Hunt. I don't know, man.
Look,
Stewie wants to go.
I want to go gator hunting.
Put that GoPro on your head, and we got content.
I don't know why I always wanted to do it. Like, I have friends in high school who like their parents would do it. Like, their parents would take them, and they would always ask me to go, but I never could go. My mom,
I just don't know.
My mom wasn't a big fan of the boat and alligators.
I mean,
is the risk worth the reward?
I feel like it is.
Good content.
Yeah.
I feel like you would hear stories of people like getting killed gator hunting if it was if it was trash. You know what I mean? If it was kind of a regular thing.
Well, or maybe not. Maybe it's a dirty little secret.
Well, I mean,
I just don't. Any other thing that you really hunt in Louisiana? A deer, a duck, a goose. I'd like my chances with a gun against a gator. It just feels like the gun is even an equalizer. If
you miss that thing,
if it decides it's having a bad day, all them teeth and no toothbrush. I just don't like my chances. I'm not a good swimmer. I don't want to fall in the water. I don't want to be anywhere around. I don't want him to. I saw the video that one of them hopped in the boat. That man just bopped it on the nose. I don't have that wherewithal. I don't have the confidence in my bop ability.
No.
It's in the game.
I am definitely putting I'm putting my entire life in somebody else's hands.
Absolutely. It's like skydiving.
I've got no idea where we're going. I've got no idea how we're getting there. I've got no idea how to kill this animal, how to hunt this animal. I'm just pressing record on this camera and hoping we can get good content.
And getting a gun.
That's a gun in a close area
exactly
of a lot of people. I mean, you don't want me with a gun in that area. I would just fire it
blindly,
unguided, misdirected. You know what I mean? Just I
watch swamp people.
Culotta's here. The Italian way. Just pop one in the sky. Get out of here, gator. Messing with the mob.
Watch your legs.
Watch your family.
So I mean, we'll see, man. I mean, it's coming through. I mean, we're going. We're doing the gator hunt.
Gotta pull it in with the string. Watch a lot of swamp people.
Maybe that's what we should. Yeah, we got to put a hype
Yeah.
We got to do a little tape study.
But I've also heard that Swamp People is a little bit over dramatic. So
it's for television.
Yeah, it is TV. So
See, but this is one of the animals I don't feel bad about killing. Like I feel like a deer is just kind of standing there, minding his own business. It's like a bigger dog,
right?
And it's like if you mini and it came up to you and like ate out of like Bambi. Like if he ate out of your hand, you'd be like, "Oh, that's just sweet," and somebody shot it, you'd be like, "What the?
Yeah,
who did that?
what's your deal, man?"
Yeah, that dude's just minding his own business. A gator is. I mean, they've been around a long time, so you've lived your life. Yeah, you good. You probably miserable. And they're not very smart from what I've seen.
I mean,
have you seen the video of the guy hiding behind the tree and the gator's like, "Where'd you go? I don't know what to do." He just bumped himself into the tree. So I just don't want to be put in that scenario. And there's snakes out there for sure.
Definitely.
Which is another just
There's a
disaster.
lot of wildlife.
Yeah.
A lot of wildlife.
Smoking frogs.
Eesh. All right, remember over here at the Jordy Culotta Show, every single day we are brought to you by our friends over at Hughes Mechanical. Our friends over at Hughes Mechanical can help you out today with all of your air conditioning needs. It is tough for the ACs to keep up right now, and Hughes Mechanical contractors can help you out with AC, indoor air quality, HVAC repairs, replacements, and service. They are a Daikin trusted realtor over at Hughes Mechanical. Get in touch with them, 225-658-2147, 225-658-2147. Whether it is residential, commercial, or you need maintenance done, Hughes Mechanical Contractors can help you out today. Air conditioning service that you can trust. Right now, AC's having a tough time to keep up with this month of August and the heat wave. Hughes Mechanical can help you online at hughesmechanical.net. Air conditioning services that you can trust over at Hughes. Like we said, a Daikin trusted dealer over at Hughes Mechanical. Get in touch with them at 225-658-2147 for more information. Zach Taylor is addressing some of the latest with Joe Burrow as his recovery from the calf injury is taking a little bit of time for Burrow to get back onto the field. We're going to talk to Coach Burrow, Coach Jimmy Burrow, next Tuesday. They have Joe Burrow has a benefit coming up with his foundation in South Louisiana that we'll be telling you about on how you can get involved, and we'll get an update from Coach on where Joe stands going into fall camp and going in to another season here in the NFL. But Zach Taylor, you can tell a little annoyed with the Burrow question, says the timeline is several weeks when I told you that it was several weeks. The timeline is several weeks from when I told you it was several weeks, is what Taylor said, according to NFL insider Adam Schefter, as that was Taylor's response after he was asked about what the status was for Joe Burrow. Even Cincinnati's Twitter account, the Bengals Twitter account, tweeted out yesterday, "Everyone, please stop calling and offering us your calf muscles. It doesn't work like that." They said and followed that up that Joey will be back. So you can sense the panic.
So I can't cut this out and
in
give it
Cincinnati.
They're just sending them just calves. Men are just walking around Cincinnati calfless.
And like Burrow can deal with like some 300 level fan's calf.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
your
some
calf
guy
is a-
that's wearing his jersey in the 400 level that wants
Throw
to
it up
cut
on the
his
person in
calf
front
out
of you.
after bender drinking throughout the last couple of weeks because he might be in play to donate Burrow his calf.
Nobody's the same blood type as Burrow.
Hacks that thing out and hands it to Burrow just to see Burrow pull his Achilles on the first day of
I'll
having
pull your calf too.
a donated calf in his
damn
body.
calf.
He's got my calf. You'd be in public. That's worse than being like Steve Burtman.
Oh,
You'd
my
be
God.
public enemy number one if he cadavered your calf and he pulls it again. If it led to an even higher, like a higher quality injury. This man's walking around with the bad calf.
Quit calling and offering us your
Level
calves.
300. That man's been hitting the steps though. If you could get a calf from one person, it'd have to be a mailman or a caddy.
Yeah, a caddy.
They got monster calves.
Caddy's got
I'd
great
go
calves.
mailman.
Will Wade's got great calves.
He does.
Mailman vibes.
Mailman, got to.
Yeah.
Will Wade gives you mailman vibes.
He does.
Like the cool mailman. Like,
He does.
And there's layers to that joke.
What's up, Will?
What you got for me today?
Why don't you check your mailbox?
Got you a special envelope.
I see your son hooping. How old is he, 12, 13? I'll be running this beat for a minute. Awful nice out.
Been watching your son shoot in the yard for a while now.
Yeah. This one doesn't have a name on it. No return address. Just keep that.
From Uncle Will.
Yeah. Don't put that flag up.
The mailman.
The mailman. Oh my goodness.
All right, so LSU back on the practice field today. Huge day as far as recruiting is concerned with the announcement. New studio digs right now. We're actually we're coming out of mic'd up studio. We're in the other studio of our old from where we were because our new studio is under construction and we started the move officially yesterday as we got some stuff heading out of the studio and heading over to the new studio. We'd like to have that up and operating here at least maybe 2 weeks from Monday, this past Monday. So maybe not this Monday coming up, but the following Monday. We should be in our new digs over at Click Here Media, where we will be coming to you live every single day, Monday through Friday, throughout the football season with a lot of cool stuff. It looks like we're going to get back to our Sunday programming. We obviously won't be there on the opening night of LSU season because they play on Sunday night. But throughout the regular season, like we did 2 years ago in Ogeron's final campaign, where we would go live on Sunday night and recap just what was happening in the game and kind of some of the feedback from the game, whether good or bad, the good, bad, and the ugly. We'll recap for you on Sundays. So that'll be a little bit something that we do different from a programming standpoint. So make sure you're keeping up with all of that. And the easiest way to do it is to subscribe to the channel. If you subscribe to YouTube and you subscribe to the Jordy Culotta Show, you'll be able to keep up with all the content. And when we go live, we'll click. If you click that bell, you'll get notified when we go live for any content that may be coming out. And if you want to keep up with our content throughout fall and into football season, just make sure that you are subscribed and that you are notified for what's coming up here on the show. So just a little bit of some house cleaning there as we get going here on this Thursday and kind of where we are and what's going on. So we'll be coming to you here from this studio until we make the move, which should be coming up here in a little over a week, which I know we're all excited about, man, to kind of move. This place has been great, though. It's been a great studio. It's been a great place, over the last really kind of year and a half of us being here. Really we've taken a next, kind of another step. The show's taken another step. We did some stuff kind of behind the scenes of managing some social media for some companies with another company that we had that's experiencing some success right now, and it gave us the opportunity to link up with Click Here Digital. So it's been a really cool place and a really cool experience to be over here, and hopefully somebody, whoever takes it over next, can use this space. It's a great space. Like we said, it's located on Government Street, right on the corner of Government and 22nd Street, if you're familiar with downtown. So it's got great visibility to downtown and great access to downtown as well. If you're in the legal field, if you're a lawyer, you can obviously use a lot of benefit from it. You can get to and from the courthouse very quickly. It's located, just a couple of blocks from downtown, and you can get in touch with our friend Matthew Shirley over at Siraj Rotenberg Realty if you would like to see it, if you would like to discuss it. But the space is available now, and you can move in as soon as possible if you want to check it out. So get in touch with Siraj Rotenberg Real Estate Group, and they will get you taken care of with seeing the property and allowing you to make the decision on whether or not this place works for you. So a lot of cool stuff happening right now, as we said. Some other stuff happening was Nick Saban is addressing some gambling issues. Obviously, gambling has been
prevalent
very
on Alabama's
prevalent
campus.
on not only on Alabama's campus, but just within sports. I mean, if you think about the stories over the last 2 years, how much sports and gambling have mixed. This is as much as we've ever seen it, right? Because I mean, for my generation growing up, it was taboo. It was like one of those unspoken things that if it came up, you were immediately blackballed from whatever sport you were involved in. And the great example of that was Pete Rose. Pete Rose, who was a, Mr. Charlie Hustle, was, the all-time hits leader in Major League Baseball history, but not inducted to the Hall of Fame because he was caught gambling when he was the Cincinnati Reds manager on baseball. And it was a very intense fallout from that. He was banned from baseball. He had a lifetime ban from baseball. And there was some people that, disagreed with it. People that watched Rose play just very much couldn't believe that he was being treated like this after what he had given the game. But it was a message that was meant to show if you gamble on sports, there is a high price to pay. And, since gambling has really been legalized in the majority of the states and a lot of the states that feature sporting events, you've seen the access between athlete and gambling really be blurred. Really cross over. Calvin Ridley with the Atlanta Falcons. We saw Jamison Williams with the Detroit Lions. We've seen the Iowa State quarterback who was thrown off his team last week for gambling on games.
And their punter, right?
Yeah, it was a couple of players. But with the access to these digital apps and how easy it is to place a bet now, you had to think that this was going to happen. Now, the example that happened on Alabama's campus, I think is egregious and something that you can look at in any era that is just over the top, right? Where, you've got the baseball coach sending text messages to guys at gambling windows about inside information on the team and how to sway the bet, and betting against his own team with a six-figure number.
He was texting with the phone in his pocket.
School. Not only that, he goes to the window and puts it against the glass, goes, I have inside information. Let me make this bet. The man was off his rocker. Whoever he was texting that was in which to tie this whole thing together was at, I think, the Reds baseball park. Was that where he was connected trying to make a bet at the casino across the street? Where they had 0% action on the LSU Alabama game. He comes in with a six-figure bet after Bohannon was pocket texting, a little T9 action in the khakis. And then this man has the audacity to not only try to make the bet, which is already sending alarms off, and then going, wait, you're not going to let me do it? Hold on, I have a surefire winner. Well, no, we're definitely not going to let you do it because that's our money.
This thing's going to win, man.
Yeah, you got to let me do it. I'll go across the street. You ain't leaving. And who are you texting?
Actually, sir, sit down right there.
Mark Cuban in your Cyberdust app. Y'all are in some trouble.
Right.
And that's the funniest thing is you bring in Pete Rose to Alabama, and he's probably going, where's Bohannon at? I need to give him a shout. Who does he know?
My guy.
My guy. We're in the fraternity of two.
Baseball guy.
Yeah. Were you betting to lose or win? That changes this relationship a lot. That's the only thing about Pete. He was trying to just win games.
Right. And he never betted against the Big Red Machine.
It just when it was a no bet, he's like, I don't feel so good.
I don't know about tonight.
I wonder how many people were loading up when they didn't get the bet from Pete. He thinks the Reds stink today.
Take the Tigers.
Yeah. They were out late last night.
But Pete Rose was on Alabama's campus talking to the University of Alabama about gambling. I think this is brilliant. You know what I mean? It's it's bringing.
It's interesting.
It's bringing in Gordon Gekko to talk about cheating on Wall Street. You know what I mean? If we're gonna do it,
This is the guy.
Go get the alpha.
Right. But
You
he's
know?
still so close to, like, there's no way Pete Rose isn't still gambling.
Oh, no, I mean, when I was in Vegas, he does a podcast every day from Caesar's Palace.
Yeah. So he's just talking out both sides of his mouth.
It's well, I mean, I think he talks about the difference of his shtick is like you can't be an athlete and gamble.
It got me, burned
like,
me.
It burned. Like, I mean, like, look at me. You know what I mean? Like,
I should be here and I'm here.
He makes his life off of that now. You know what I mean? Like, I mean,
should be Pete Rose Hall of Famer.
But now he's,
Pete Rose.
Caesar's Palace is great, come take a picture with Pete.
Right. He's like a zoo animal.
Right.
Pete Rose, professional gambler.
Professional gambler he loves that flat bill all white Cincinnati Reds hat. He wears it everywhere.
Somebody has told him, you look great in that.
He's probably got 30 of them. He's like, all right, this is my look. Even he looks like a tout.
He does.
But not the cool one.
He absolutely
he's
does.
taking a leg or two.
But Pete was talking to the Alabama football team about the dangers of gambling as an athlete, which I thought was a great headline. Another headline that I think we're about to start talking about here in the next couple of days, and I saw a listener bring this up. Let me find and make sure. I want to give whoever said it credit because I agree. Megan Emily, is Texas under IRS scrutiny like A&M is? The SI article, along with some friends in Austin, have me thinking that the Longhorns could be next. And what Megan is referring to is that overnight, and this happened pretty a little under the radar. I mean, like she said, SI is on it, and people are on it, and people are talking about it. I mean, a quick Google search of it, and you'll find it. But Texas A&M has closed down the program that allowed donors to support athlete endorsements, their NIL program, citing IRS issues. So an IRS agent has sent notification to the Texas A&M boosters that these donations may not be tax exempt like you think they are.
Oh, no.
You may owe taxes on all of what you've donated. And within a 10-hour window, that program has been shuttered, closed, done. And with the reasoning behind it is the IRS is crawling up these donors and looking for tax breaks. This essentially is going after all of the collectives. And I think this is going to be a very interesting discussion and situation on how this is handled and what is going to be the fallout of this. Because Texas A&M has been, since NIL has been incepted, the model, right? Like that's kind of been the blueprint, the model of what you look at and what you're following. And to see that they are in this state where they've just closed up shop. They've shut it down because the IRS is asking too many questions and wants too much paperwork, that it doesn't look as if it's all worth it. Man, this NIL stuff is just, it's a mess, man.
Do I have to say the thing that nobody wants to say? Bayou tradition?
That's what I'm saying. I just said this is going to affect all collectives.
Or is it just the way that the 12th Man Foundation was
That
structured?
is what I don't know enough to speak on, but I imagine that it's rattling the cage of every collective that's put in place around the country this morning.
And
the 12th Man Foundation is a private organization that raises money to fund scholarships, programs, facilities for Texas A&M athletics. The June IRS memo said that NIL collectives may face future examinations or enforcement action by the IRS. They didn't elaborate. This decision was made to ensure the 12th Man Foundation meets its high standards for compliance and to protect the organization's mission. The foundation said in a statement, the 12th Man Foundation will still be a player in athlete deals, but is changing the way that they are done and the way that they pay for them, said Mitt Winter, a sports business attorney in Kansas City who tracks college NIL developments. He went on to say, donors will just donate to the foundation generally, and the foundation will use those funds to enter into NIL deals with athletes to promote the foundation. It will be a marketing expense for the foundation. The 12th Man Fund was a trailblazing effort to bring NIL collectives under the umbrella of a major athletic booster program. It was pitched as a way for the Aggies fans to directly support NIL deals for athletes and earn points for the foundation of various perks, such as ticketed events and parking. The NCAA sent out a memo earlier this summer to Division I member schools after the 12th Man funding was launched that said entities acting on the behalf of an institution cannot pay athletes for NIL. Texas, Arkansas, and a handful of other states have passed laws to allow schools' athletic departments to become more closely involved in deals for athletes and to provide legal protection from the NCAA enforcement over NIL activities. This was a huge deal when it was launched. This was a big talking point by not only the league and Greg Sankey, but the NCAA and even the highest on Capitol Hill in Washington. This is something that is crossing over into different arenas, different brackets, and different people of power that nobody wants to touch. And now the IRS and the federal government is starting to snake their way into it and have come with compliance laws and taxes that have now put all of this in jeopardy. So,
and if you're Texas A&M or some of these donors, they're worried about their personal finances getting exposed, right? To where they crawl into not only, okay, this is what you donated, they're worried about their other nonprofit ventures where, I mean, that's how they get tax breaks. The mega rich have a bunch of nonprofit, I guess, dealings to where they can write these things off. If you start crawling into their personal finances, that's one way to be like, we're shutting this thing down. I don't want anything to do with, it's kind of like the PGA and LIV, where whenever they started getting into the PGA's finances, they're like, we're shutting the book on this. We'll join the LIV. We'll broker a deal with LIV Tour. I don't want you getting into the PGA's finances because we're a nonprofit 501c3. That's the end of the story. But once they started trying to crack the books on them and see, are you really a nonprofit? They're like, okay, we'll do a deal. We're good. Because that's their honey hole. And I'd imagine a lot of these donors that are spending millions and millions on the collective are probably in the same boat of, don't touch, that's my good money. That's like my ashtray money. That money makes me money. Like, that's never touched. It's never taxed. I don't want anybody seeing the way that I'm kind of cleaning this money to where I can be exposed as maybe committing tax fraud and going to jail.
Right. No, it's hairy. It's
hairy?
about to get sticky for a lot of people.
If you're the NCAA, this might be best case scenario. If you don't want to see a collective or NIL, this is one way to shut it down. But I also, if you set legal precedent before, why would this be illegal? Or why would the IRS care if it's already been established by, is this state law versus?
Yeah, I mean, it's state law
versus the government,
which is trying to dodge federal law.
Right. It's like marijuana. And
they're doing it with money, which gives the in for the federal government to come
poke around.
Right.
Ugh.
Yes.
It's a dark day to get that email.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, this is going to be a huge shakeout of how NIL is handled, right? I mean, I don't know how.
Well, and if this is the deal, if this is how they're going to approach it, if you're the NCAA or the IRS, they're just going to go back to the old way. You're never going to stop it. It just won't be NIL anymore. It'll be, okay, let's revert back to the mean, which never got us in trouble, technically, because you just had somebody else do it for you. But you never really, look what happened with Johnny Manziel. How easily did they skate by making up one lie?
Right.
That everybody still believes. I still kind of believe it. It was on every talking head show that the Manziels were just rich. And it was just like, I just kind of fluffed up what they were making, and this is why Johnny has money, and we talked to the grandpa, and he cut me a check, and I got cash, and that's how it worked. And everybody's like, oh, well, he comes from oil money. He's like, that's not true. And, obviously the Manziels were okay, but to be able to almost cover up, I would say, in the hundreds of thousands of dollars by saying my parents are rich, all-time ploy. Because that's where you're kind of reverting back to if they don't allow the collective to go through, it's just going to be people doing mailbox money.
Right.
And what's to stop that? Nothing, because then it can just be, oh, I got this from NIL.
What a mess.
It's a mess. This is almost worse.
It is.
Because now it's not clean anymore. Now it's
Right.
like, well, now we'll be super dirty.
Right.
We know how to do that part.
Well, now it's back to the old way.
Yeah, it's like we know how to do this one real easily. Call my guy.
Go get the duffel bags back out.
Yeah.
We could play that game.
Right.
Turn me back to the old me.
Right. I know how we can go tax-free, boys.
Grab those brown paper bags from the store. Huh?
Remember when cash meant something?
Cash is cut open that mattress.
It's king again.
Cut this book open.
Go hollow out that Bible.
All right, good stuff today. We appreciate it. Appreciate you dealing with us under construction here. Like we said, we will be in the new digs hopefully 2 weeks from last Monday. So 2 weeks from a couple of days ago. And we will be in this studio until then. So we appreciate your support. We appreciate everything. Make sure to hit that like button, share button, comment button. We will be back with you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Shay Dixon will be here in studio talking about what happens today at Duncanville High School. What's going to happen between two of the top guys, Caden Durham, Colin Simmons, set to make their announcement at 2 p.m. today from their high school campus. We'll be all over that, just like everybody in the recruiting world. We'll react to it tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Come back with us. Hit that like button, share button, comment button. Have a great Thursday. We'll be back with you on Friday morning at 7 a.m.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time. It's the hottest show around, we ain't gotta flex. Call up G, we get it done, we earning our respect. Tell recruits to let us in, where they going next. Throw up the L's, now we lit, band playing neck. From the boot to the east to the west coast. No matter where we at, we live, mic'd up for show. Open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show. Yeah, Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We